All right, everybody. Good morning, and welcome back to our training. Thank you for everybody for joining online. This week's one of my favorite trainings. We are going to go through on how to handle objections throughout the finance process. Now, there's a few stages that we want to focus on for the finance process. So let's get into those. So these stages, these are just the three main stages. There's a lot of times in a finance manager, you can get involved in a deal, but we're going to focus on today is just these three main stages. That before the deal is closed. So when they're out working the deal, don't have everything 100% finalized. We haven't quite shook hands yet. This is the big before that deal is closed. Then of course we've got the customer interview. A customer interview, the all important customer interview. We go out and get all that information, and we're going to go through what might happen if you get some objections there. And then, of course, where the magic happens, we're going to go through what will happen with objections when you're in the finance office. So let's get started. All right, so before the deal is closed, big thing here is you're not trying to get everything sold. You're not trying to pitch a menu. You're not trying to do those things out on the sales floor. You're not trying to do those things. If you're trying to do that, you might be doing a little too much. Now, if it gets to the point where a customer is like, I have to have this to move forward with the deal, get involved, maybe even take them into your office to work the deal in your office from that point. Just depends on what your dealership practices is. When I would do finance, if I had that customer that really wanted to get into some brass tacks before they'd even consider closing on a deal, if I had to do that, I did. It was a last resort, but you can do those things if you need to. So make sure that your sales managers and everybody's on board with that. Good communication, that's key. Um, if the customers are already starting to say no to products, I want you to try something if you're not already doing it, and that's just normalizing their objection. And basically, what it is you're giving some empathy. Hey, I understand. I see what you mean. I get where you're coming from. Those types of sentences. You're not trying to fight the objection. You're just trying to align with the customer. You're trying to build that rapport that you're not instantly going to fight with them every second of the way to try and close them on something. All right. The best place to close some of these products is going to be in your office. In fact, 99% of the products that are selling, you want to close in the finance office. That's the spot. That's where it's at. So you can talk to a customer and they say, no, I don't want to be offered this. Don't talk to me. Okay, I can understand that you want to make sure you get taken care of. We're going to take care of you. Don't you worry about that. Let's just make sure we get all your deals squared away first before we even get to that point. So you don't have to just take them at face value and say, okay, this customer's not going to do anything. No, we're still going to stick to our rule of 300. We're still going to offer 100% of our products to 100% of the people 100% of the time. We just don't need to fight this battle quite yet, not right here. So before that deal is closed, your job, if you are getting involved, if your sales managers are getting involved, your job is to make sure you get the deal first. We can't sell back end if we're not selling anything. So make sure that we get the deal first. Then we'll worry about that once we get to that finance office point. All right. So next, customer interview. Deal's closed, shook hands, we're good, everything's happy and everybody's good, and you're going to go out and you do your customer interview. During your customer interview, do it the same way. We don't want to handle an objection unless it comes up. Don't make objections. I've seen some finance managers do that too, where they'll go out and they'll actually create objections by trying to offer up products, offer up things right then and there. That's not the goal of the customer interview. The goal of the customer interview is to make sure you're going out there and getting all the basic information, building a little bit more rapport with the customer so you know how to tailor your menu. Okay? That's what it is. If a customer objection does come up during the interview, it's that same type of mentality as when you are dealing with a before the deal is closed. I can understand that. I see what you mean by that. We have a program that is similar to that. Maybe it's going to help you out in the best way. I'll explain that once we get into the finance office. Don't worry about it for now. We'll just make sure we get y'all taken care of. Those types of statements, that takes that pressure. You'll see the customer's shoulders dip. That's what you want. You want them happy and excited and like, okay, this person's hearing me. That's the biggest thing. If you're trying to fight the objection outside or up front in the customer interview, they're going to come in with that wall up. You might as well just, that's what they're going to do. So let's not do that. Let's not create any walls if we don't have to. So let's make sure that we're just aligning with the customer. I understand, we're going to take good care of you. We're going to make sure we go over everything that we have to get your deal all squared away, and we'll get you on your way here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And be very polite about that, because that's your goal as a finance manager, is just to get them happy before they get into the office with this customer interview, that you're going to take care of them, make this process simple. Finance office. Okay, we've done it. We've got the customer to the finance office, and we're starting to do a menu presentation, and we see, sorry about that, got the phone on here, and we see that they're going to have some objections. They're already blowing their back, they're doing this, you've got this going on. All right. Your job sometimes as a finance manager is just to relieve that stress from the customer, that you're there to take care of them, that you've got things that are built to protect their ride, protect what they're buying, protect their investment, and I'm not just here to take all your money. It's like, I'm here to make sure that when you leave here, you have a great experience. And sometimes reassuring customers of that, that's the only thing they really wanted to hear. That was the thing that they're objecting the most. So if you run into a customer who's instantly saying no, what's something that we can determine about that? They probably had a bad experience somewhere else, where someone was just like constantly butting heads with them, and they're ready for that. They're expecting you to be that person. So you need to show them, this ain't how that's going to go down. We're going to take care of you here. Let's walk through some things and start handling those objections in a manner when you're going through the menu that really aligns with them, and use some of the information that they give them to help them with the objections. That's going to be the basic way of breaking down that tough customer. So uh, again, it's all about, when you're working your way to the finance office, listen, we're going to take good care of you. And if you can relay that, that's going to relieve a lot of the stress. Now, individual product objections, we've got those. So let's take a look at some of those. Okay, you got the no's. I don't need it. No, thank you. No, I've been told by my friends I don't need that stuff. We all know that everybody's got the friend who says, you don't need to have it. Okay. There's a lot of ways you can do this. The first thing you don't want to do is say, well, your friend is absolutely wrong. Ugh. Probably not going to get you anywhere. So when you do get the no's, when you get somebody who wants to do that, just make sure you are very upfront with your menu and say, listen, I want to make sure that there isn't something that we miss that you could take advantage of. So give me a few minutes, let me roll through these, and let's see if there's something that will make sense to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me along the way. But let's make sure we go through this. That way, you making a good educated decision about what you're buying and how to protect it. Because let's be real, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, if I miss something, or if I don't go through something and it could have helped you later on down the line, you're going to be more mad than if I didn't have gone through this. So let's do this in the sake of me wanting to make sure that you get taken care of and you make the right decisions for you guys. Let's roll through this. All the pressure's off at that point. Then they know, okay, I'm just being presented some stuff, and I'll take a look at it. You are going to get those customers who had a bad experience. You have to be the one to kind of take that away. And that's usually where the no's come from. Payment, the payment objection. If objections were dollars, the payment objection would fill your bank account. So when it comes to a payment objection, let's make sure we do one thing right. And the one thing is that we have to build value in our products. I'd say 75 to 80% of the time you get a payment objection, it's because they don't see the value of what you're selling to add to their payment. Now, the other 25, 30%, sure, they don't want their payment to go up. They maxed out. They went over budget because You showed them the one with all the accessories and options on it. Good job. Uh, you just want to make sure that they're protecting this ride. And if they're going to max out their budget, you want to make sure that you're protecting them, because if they're maxed out, are they going to have the dollars to fix something if something goes wrong? Maybe, maybe not. So you need to make sure that we're stressing upon that. So, first thing, build value. When you get a payment objection, make sure you're building value. If you have to circle around and go through something again, or ask them what types of things that this product that you're offering is missing, it's okay to ask that. Like, hey, is there something that this is missing that would make you feel like you have a little bit more value in it? That way you know why it would be important to have on your payment, why it would be important to have on this coverage. It's okay to ask that. It's okay. It can be uncomfortable because you feel like you're opening yourself up to, well, what if they say this, that, or the other? You're going to handle that. You're a finance manager. You have your products down pat. So if someone says, well, I really like the VSC that you're offering. I love that coverage. However, it doesn't cover the thing that I feel I've changed out the most, which is the battery. Oh, great. We got a plan for that. You know what? What if I put together a VSC battery bundle? That way you had coverage on not just the entire rig, but we can also cover that battery for you too. Would that sound like a good idea? And then you're flowing, and then you're putting a package together. And what you're doing with that, your products per deal goes up. Win, win, win. Nothing but. So make sure when you're getting these objections, you be creative with it and you're finding different ways around it. But you have to be able to sometimes ask an uncomfortable question of, what might be missing? Where are you needing more protection, Mr. and Mrs. Customer? And that's okay. That's all right. Because you know what? I know you can handle it. And so make sure that you're doing that. You're building that value and you're showing them what you can give them. And that's why they're going to be okay with going up in price. Plus, let's really circle back to one other thing. If their budget is so tight, that second one right there where it says, I don't want my payment to go up, make sure you're mentioning, hey, if your payment's pretty well maxed out with what you're thinking, with where your budget is, if something does come up, how are you going to cover it? What's your plan? Because if something does break on one of these things, which it happens, what's your plan on that? You busting out a credit card at 25%? I don't want you to have to do that. For a few extra dollars a month, we can take care of all that. And that's why you want to start walking into those things. But you want to make sure you have that rapport with the customer that you can go through and do this. And that's all set up. Again, customer interview is key to building that rapport and tailoring the menu. The more they trust you, the more you can say some things and educate without them putting that guard up. And that's what's key. All right, so we got the value and time objections. First one is when the customer has believed every word that the salesman has said, which is a great thing, unless the salesman was saying that this Can-Am is indestructible or this Polaris can jump over canyons. All right. Sometimes the salespeople can get a little excited about what they're selling and maybe put you in a spot where they say, well, gosh, it's a Polaris. Oh gosh, it's a Can-Am. It's a Honda. I'm never gonna have to worry about this. Oh, Kawasaki's don't break. That's when you need to take a second and say, as much as you are right, Mr. and Mrs. Customers, Honda makes one of the best parts out there, or Polaris makes one of the best units out there, whatever it might be. We still have things that break. Anything that's built by people, unfortunately, it can break or can wear out. So we want to make sure that we offer you coverage on those things, because if something does go wrong, it can be unfortunately a little bit expensive when it does. So we want to make sure that you get taken care of at that time. And what a great way to lock in our service rates, make sure that it's just built into your payment to where you don't have to worry about it. Because the worst thing you'd want to do is be making a payment and then have to pay out of pocket for something to get fixed. And then while it's getting fixed, you're making a payment on that. We have ways to protect you against all of those situations. And the nice thing is it's built in. You don't have to, you can set it and forget it. Billy Mays here. No, okay, that was another time. For those of you who know Billy Mays, though, good for you. Uh, Next objection, can I buy it later? Well, yes, you can buy it later. Make sure you don't hide that fact. But, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, there's some advantages right now. One, and the biggest advantage is you can put this on your financing. You won't be able to do that later. So if you want to have that coverage, you want to make sure that we look at it right now, because that way it's built in. You don't have to worry about trying to come out of pocket for, a VSC contract. That way everything's handled right now. And the hard part about can I buy it later, and what I've run into with a lot of customers, is that they forget. And that the only time that they remember that they wanted to buy it was when something broke. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. So let's make sure we take it. Let's find a way to fit it in your budget. That right there is one of the most key things. And it's hard because you don't want to, you feel like you're giving them misinformation, or like it's going to kill your deal by, yeah, you can buy it later. But a lot of customers don't realize these things, and you have to be that person that explains it to them, because they don't do this every day. You do this every day. You're a finance manager every day. You go through this, you know the deal inside and out. They don't. They might work in another field to where they only buy a unit once every 5 years. So let's make sure we keep that in mind when you're going through all your programs. So, uh, all right. So that's our process for today. I wanted to make sure that I thank everybody for coming out, and we will have another training this week. Thank you for all that you're on here. Thank you very much. Very, very good seeing everybody. And we will see you guys next week. We're going to go over some other things. If you have something that you want to cover in training, feel free to email me, and we will make sure that we cover it next week or in the weeks to come. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Have a good one. Okay, let's be real. Oh.